Good morning and welcome back to When Pigs Fly. I'm Patty. I'm here with Tracy and Renee. And this morning we have a really special guest, and her name is Courtney Acamo. And Courtney is a singer, a songwriter, and she also is going to talk to us about voice activation. And we know, so she's essentially a sound healer too. So we're covering all bases about the beauty, and I love it that we're going to get to tie in a music piece to this too. I know a lot of you will resonate with that. So good morning and welcome, Courtney. Oh, she's muted. There
Thank
you go.
you. It's really such an honor and joy to be here with you all. Just feel like so grateful in my heart and so much light present.
Well,
Hmm.
you're bringing a beautiful presence and light into this space. We can feel it already. So, can you tell us how you got started, into exploring your gifts and the tie into the music?
Yeah, so at the beginning of my journey, up until I was about 18, like when I was young, I absolutely loved singing. It lit me up. I just wanted to do it all the time. And then somebody had commented that like my voice wasn't good, and it really shut me down, broke my heart. Like I didn't sing in front of people for 12 years. And it wasn't until I was 18, I was in a breakup and journaling, and I started to sing what I was writing. And I had such a visceral, cathartic experience and just felt this revelation of holy fuck, I can channel my emotions. I can feel and express
Yeah.
my emotions through song. This is like the best thing ever. So
Yeah.
that was like a huge spark of inspiration. And then as I went on my journey, I realized that I could freestyle and channel music. And I was like, wow, all I want to do is like get with other artists and improvise and make music. And that led me into studying sound healing and mantra and medicine music. So as it unlocked, it's just really guided me and led me. And I've really done a lot of improvisation and sound healing, and it's just become a really big passion. And another layer of that is like going from suppressed to feeling really free and expressed.
Yeah.
That's where I come alive to, is like helping people embrace and open and free their voice more.
Yeah, I love that. That is so beautiful. And I can tell you that I have such compassion for you. I used to work with artists, and I know it's like the critical word can
Mm.
really, really crush someone. And it's true, like all music is a channel, right? That's the gift, and that's how your body expresses it. And so good for you that and look at this, and now you've expanded it, and I'm sure you're continuing to expand it. And
Hmm.
can you tell us a little bit about the voice activation? Because that sounds so fascinating. I would love to hear more. And we're going to tie Tracy in after that because she's got some wisdom on that.
Awesome. Yeah, I really believe that we all have a voice. It's so innate. Like we come into the world and we're crying and sounds are coming out, and it's so natural. Like we even, we hit our foot and we scream. And so this ability to vocalize and sound is very innate in our humanity. And as I've journeyed more with sound, I feel like the power of discovering more of ourselves through sound, and it being such an ally for our own evolution. Like the more that we come into sound and explore sound, we like hit up against patterns, or we come up against emotions or blocks. So it could be this really beautiful mirror for us to see ourselves and like break through and like embody more of our soul. And at the beginning of in my 20s, I did a bunch of medicine work in the jungle, and I was working with a vocal coach at the time, and I released so many emotions. And I came back, she was like, "Oh my God, you have access to a whole nother part of your range." And that was like a big moment for me to realize like, whoa, there's so much connection between the emotions and the access that we have to our voice. So with the voice activation, I feel it's really important to be connected with the body, to see if there's like any emotions, anything that wants to move, any inner child pieces that may be blocking the voice, and to focus on first curiosity and like getting in a state of wonder so um, we can like get beyond our mind and the stories that we hold around our voice that really can contract us. So I just start really simple and somatic, and can, touch into the subconscious realms when working with people.
Wow.
That is fascinating. And I'd like to share a little bit of what I had seen. And we can tie this in a lot of things, because we also had Bill on here with sound bowls. And it's interesting to me how this is opening up in so many ways. So it was a few years ago that it came to me that I and everyone has their own tone. And what I saw this tone as, it came in as, oh, well, you can heal yourself. And I would like to reframe that as, it is the tone of my soul, my divine blueprint, my wholeness. So it's kind of developed throughout the years. This was about 4 years ago that I got it. And in conjunction with it, I was seeing that we also, with this tone as our like base point, we emanate different frequencies. And of course, all the frequencies have all these nuances. And I'll just use love, because I was shown even within the word love, there's so many nuances of love, passionate love, motherly love, earthly love. So it's obviously been years of me really being fascinated by this personal tone, and how it also works in conjunction with all these other tones and frequencies, and how you just said it starts to hit up against every person, place, everything in your life. And just recently, just the other day, I was seeing it such a powerful tool for creatorship, because now we can use this, our own tone, as a device of creation in our lives, because if we tune to it, everything in our reality starts to come into attunement with our, it's our soul frequency, our divinity, there's so many words for that. And to watch ourselves be able to maintain that connection to our truth, and to watch our reality start to shape shift around us in attunement to our tone. And then all of a sudden, all those around us were becoming this beautiful symphony and orchestration of all of these amazing, pick all the words. And I love how you say it starts to dissolve and disintegrate all things that are not in a harmonic resonance to our tone. So what say you?
Well, that's such a beautiful reflection, and I've really just felt the deep truth that is when we can really like hone and attune to our soul frequency. It's like we are embodying and integrating more of our soul into our field, and then within that emanation, it's like we're magnetizing miracles and synchronicities and more alignment, because everything is frequency and vibration. So the more we can hone and attune to that, the more that happens. And there's a practice that I do often. I call it toning home, from one of my teachers, Maria Stark. And it's a practice of like locating yourself and just toning home and like filling up your field, your auric field, with energy. And I like to work with imagination, with sound. And it can kind of go both ways, where you start sounding and say you just have an intention, I'm going to sound and connect and like call in my soul energy. And you can start to feel that and receive imagery. Or, you could just be toning connecting with the heart, and then imagery starts to come. So working with the senses and imagination is such a beautiful practice, and I feel like supports you even more to like attune to certain frequencies, colors, energies, elements, deities. Like with our voice, we can just connect with all these inner multidimensional spaces. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that's so cool. And I will say, I had the honor of doing a one-on-one with Courtney a while back, and it was such like this, you come with such love and how you tap into the energy field and do, because, you know, I've been just for a long time and, you know, visual and all that stuff, but it was so crazy when you said, okay, start to, you know, utilize this and start to tone this and do this. Like, I was shocked at how much more grounded, how much more connected I seemed to get to, like, you know, these other healers or whatever. I always say, like, these beautiful beings that come in, and it was like it just opened up a whole other field, and how things just started to come in just so effortlessly. And not that it didn't before, but it was, I didn't even really know how to truthfully explain it. It was just so beautiful and so much more expansive. And now in today's energy, doing those things and how everything has expanded, and, you know, all the old ways are just sort of blown out of the water. And it just shocks me how doing those tones, how different they became, and how much more I feel that within every aspect of my being. Like, it's just so beautiful. And, you know, I'm so happy that you do that work and that you're taking that out into the world and in bigger ways, and, you know, other things that you're doing. And I think that, I mean, I just wanted to make sure I said that. I think there was something else I was trying to get to, but it's gone.
Thank you.
And I'll tell you, well, here's what I love, Courtney. I was scribbling as you were talking because I was like, you use the word freestyle in describing it, and it just gives me chills now too. And I had this realization that, wow, we all have limited our voice. And the way you described that, like, you don't think of things like that. Oh yeah, when we pop in, we're crying, and then we hit our toe and we yell. We do make sounds. And I all of a sudden I realized, wow, we really do suppress our ability to sound in such a huge way. Like, all of a sudden, I'm like, this huge realization just happened while
Wow.
you were talking about that. And I'm like, oh, wow. Really an incredible like awareness you have around that, and what a great healing gift. Because what I love about anything having to do with sound healing too, and we all know this music does this too, is it doesn't get the brain's not involved, right? It's a bypass. You're completely feeling it. And the way you described it, it likened it to me, it reminded me of people who love dance. And Renee talks about this too. Like, sometimes we say, just put music on and just let your body go. Like, it doesn't have to be a choreographed move, just sway and let it go. And what you're describing is like, we never think of doing that with our voice.
Yeah, yeah, I love that you brought in the dance piece too, because I feel like as we sound and like transcend that mind space, we become the sound, and movement is so natural. It's like we are this instrument that wants to move and sound and tone, and there's, you know, different tones that want to come through. I've practiced a little bit of like qigong with sound, like different sounds that you can work with movement, and it's beautiful when you become the instrument and the sound is, and you're just like in that kind of transcendent space, which is a gift of music and dance. It's like we can just be in our being and like channel these beautiful frequencies.
I love too how you said it speaks to the elements, and it starts to open communication with the elements. But also I find, and I'm going to give credit to Renee, did a meditation. She does a weekly meditation. And all of a sudden I started to be very aware of my organs and my blood and there. And it's cool because you can really start to feel it vibrating through your body. And I found, and this is kind of crazy, that each organ had a different tone or vibration in the beginning. And then I aligned them to my soul one, and then it all kind of came together. So, which again, with the dance, I love to dance, and not in a formal way, not in an organized way, in a sloppy, ugly, messy, amazing way. But so just that whole, how integrative it can be. And I know, Renee, you're about to say something, but when we're done, I want to come back and see how, Courtney, when you add an instrument in, what that does with the dynamics. But Renee, I know you had something there.
Yeah, I just want to say what I was originally going to is when I was toning, when you had me do that, like I think it was like the second or third day after our session, I was toning, and I was very aware of this, abused child come forward from within, and I just kept toning, and I was like toning and crying, like almost that hysterical crying. But what amazed me was, because I was very aware, which was weird, I was very aware of, like, I was still toning. It was almost like I knew that that child needed this tone to be able to heal, and then all of a sudden I just started just like sprout up like this big flower, and she started dancing around and doing all the stuff. And I was like, wow. And every time, like after that, it was like, she was like, I'm going to join you. And then she came in and joined, and then finally, we just finally became one, and that tone came out. So, I mean, there's just so much amazing healing from this that, quite honestly, at that point, like I would have thought. And now with this energy, holy shit, like how freaking awesome, could that stuff be? Like, amazing. But yeah, I'm with Tracy, like how the music comes into play with that as well.
Yeah, I just want to speak on that a little bit, because when we're in the voice, we can access the quantum, and it's amazing that you had like a full integration of like an inner child aspect. And I feel like with our tones, I do different meditations going to the future self or the inner child, or this part that never felt safe. And it's incredible that if you wrap your sound and like really bring your sound into that, it's an incredible tool to integrate aspects of our being. So that's profound that you really like felt that so deeply.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah. And with instruments, it's like you're bringing another entity in the space. So it like opens up a different co-creative field, completely different energies or melodies or sounds will want to come through. Like sometimes I'll just bring a shaker or do my drum, and it'll be kind of like different, more like primal. You want to move your body. Or maybe if I'm playing my guitar, it's like that could be a variety of different things, because you could do so much with the guitar. But yeah, different instruments, they beckon and welcome and invoke a different like co-creative field within the heart and bring different magic. Yeah.
Oh, that's so cool. Like I love this stuff. I love all the stuff that you do, and how you continue to evolve from that point. It's not, you're just like, stuck at that one thing. I say, and noticing how, and we have to, like, right? We have to, as we're doing that, of course, we're evolving. Everything in our body is shifting and changing, which I just find so amazing.
Yeah. And sound it's so infinite. Like it'll want to teach us even more. Like the more I've deepened with it, the more infinite it's just completely infinite. There's so much to learn and discover, and allow it to like alchemize different parts of us. Yeah.
Do you notice, Courtney? I mean, you must notice when you're doing things outdoors, because I know you do retreats and things. Okay, so when you're doing things outdoors, you must feel that whole, or you must the difference or whatever. People must feel that difference of how also the earth, the plants, everything is also, coming together with that aspect. Can you speak to that at all?
Yeah, I feel like like I usually acknowledge the elements, and acknowledging them, or just being present in where you are. If there's like we're by a river, or the wind's blowing, that alone, I feel like the elements are working with us. And when we sing, it's like we're working with that air element, and air wants to move. So it's supporting the opening even greater. And I feel like water comes so often in sessions, I feel like the presence of water wants to bring more flow, more surrender, more ease, like an innocent, pure energy, which I feel like is an energy that's really supportive to open up the channels. So I feel like each of the elements brings in a different energetic that are really supportive for people's opening in different ways. Yeah.
Will you tell us a little bit about your retreats? I love retreats experiences, just a little taste of what your retreats are like.
Yeah, my retreats are so magical. So I live on Kauai and I love working in the feminine arts. So we sing a lot, do vocal opening practices. Um, we'll do dance on the land. We'll go on different adventures, making offerings and doing rituals with the waters and purifications. Sometimes I do sensoriums, which is like each woman's receiving energy work and touch and love. And the next retreat I'm going to do is going to be more focused on song. So we'll be writing poetry and writing songs and learning songs and really working in the realm of expression. And I usually always weave improv. That's something that I've studied a lot, and I just love being in the field of play. So we'll play different improv games and just like get people really activated and heart open in their creativity. And the land here is really beautiful. So we're always like working and communing and going in the ocean and rivers and communing. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, that sounds amazing. I think it sounds like it would be difficult to leave.
Yeah, it's a full portal.
So you spoke off air before we jumped on and said you're moving kind of a little bit in a direction more of poetry, songwriting, and how are you feeling that that is just as expressive, therapeutic? Do you get the same from that as you do from the because the actual voice and the tone is so powerful. But do you what's your take on the two or all of it? Like artistic expression in general.
I think all is necessary. Say there's grief present or some emotion, like it may feel true to meet that emotion with a big like sound in tears, or another way to meet it artistically is to write a poem about it and express it that way, or you can write a song about it. So I feel like having just different tools in the toolkit and different prompts to work with different parts of our process creates like different outlets for our divinity, for our devotion, for our internal processes and parts. And I feel like people are all at different levels with their creativity too. Like some people may not feel like as naturally expressed, so there might be different vocal exercises and practices and somatic practices to really activate and invoke and like call in the muses, and see for each individual what their muse may be. Maybe it is working with the element that really helps them, or a particular goddess, or they're going through big threshold and they want to really like invoke and like work with the fires of transmutation. So yeah, I like weaving them all. I think there's like a lot of depth in the toning, a lot of alchemy, and also with the other arts too. Like I've wrote poems where I'm really going through something crunchy, and like by the end of the poem I'm like alchemized it and I feel light and free, and I'm like, wow, that was amazing. Yeah, so they're all beautiful, unique tools.
Do you think that when you're doing the retreats, because when you said, okay, and we write poems or whatever, immediately I could feel my body be like, oh my God, I can't write a poem. I can't go. Which was like, all right, calm down. Like, do you find that when you're Tony, you're doing it on all that play and all that stuff, it just really opens people and they get rid of that whole fear or worry of like, oh my God, I can't, I can't do that. It's it's got to be, because sometimes our brain gets in there. It's like we've got to a poem is this and that. Do you notice
Yeah.
and people that normally thought, I can't do that, are just
Yeah.
writing these beautiful things?
Yeah, I think there's a field of safety and like
Mhm.
permission to play and experiment. So not that it has to be any particular way, but like you're experimenting and exploring, and it's really a permissionary space for that. And then it's not like there's also guidance on in prompts to like kind of give you an arc or like a journey to go into, and there's music to support. So that's really helpful. It's like with the prompts and different practices that we may do before, that gives you something to work and process with.
Yeah.
Nice.
That's
Yeah.
cool. I was going to ask
Hmm.
that same question, similar. I was going to say, how do you guide them through that? Because I know even for songwriters who do that for a living, right? Some of them, they
Hmm.
all have their own little process that they line up when they're consistently trying to create music. But I know for an amateur or somebody new, this is great, and I love it that we're bringing this forward because there are many people that are learning to express their creativity, and especially through stuff like poetry and stuff, and to like what you just said, it's like, how can you, can we give our listeners, what would you give them a little advice if they're just afraid to even start? Like, what would you tell them just to even give it a whack?
I would I would give a practice to write a poem a day for 21 days. And you'll see what I mean. You could write a poem about the wall. And that's what happens like when you lean into poetry, like life becomes poetic and rich, and like you learn to develop your poetic or reflective capacities to experience and view life in a more artistic way and play with that. So writing a poem a day for 21 days, you could see, when you come to the paper and you're like, well, I have nothing to write about. You just start somewhere like, I feel the breeze touching my skin, and like see where that takes you. And feel like the more and more, even with the voice too, it's like the more you practice and you tone and you sound and you do vocal exercises, the more confident and easy it's going to be. Same with songwriting, same with
Yeah,
poetry. Just opening the door, stepping through consistently.
yeah.
It's really helpful.
I love
I
that.
love that. It would be, go ahead, Patty.
No, I was just saying I love that too. It's just it's perfect way to start.
Well, and wouldn't it be amazing if everyone took, expression and movement? Because
Mm.
I notice in my world, a lot of people don't know how to express themselves or don't feel safe expressing themselves or don't want to because I don't want to deal with all that stickiness. But to get people expressing, and as we know, if you express in any way, movement, now the energy is moving. Now we get some flow going on. So I love because, whether it's paint or, clay or singing poetry, I love that you kind of said whatever it takes to I just love the concept of being a catalyst for people to feel comfortable and get the flow going of expression. And then, of course, again, like I said, we get some energy movement. And oh boy, if we could just like do a collective big ohm to everyone and get it going, how amazing. Oh, maybe Courtney, can you do
Yeah,
this here today?
sure.
Tone it up.
Yeah, right now. Go for it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
I love that I was just feeling breath, sound, and movement, and like
Mm.
those being pillars and keys for like somatic experiencing and like opening and freeing energy. So let's
Yay.
do it, some sounding.
Woohoo.
I bring in my Koshi chimes. Mm. Just inviting us all to take some deep breaths. Releasing. Mhm.
Wow. Thank you. Wow.
Mhm.
That was beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you.
That is so expansive.
Mm. Hmm.
So expansive. I was like, take me to your leader.
What's interesting when I was sounding too, it's like really stormy here. Like the winds just came, the rains just came. So I was like, okay, bringing that in.
Yeah, it just felt so instantly. It was like it was like you took the lid off.
Uh-huh.
That's what it felt like for me. Like, wow, wow,
Hmm. Hmm.
amazing.
Yeah,
I
really.
love that the elements come in because I've noticed like sometimes when I do things like it'll like dark. Matter of fact, my sister Michelle today had said she went outside like last night. It was dark. It was really dark. It was cloudy. It was just really ominous out. And she said, and I just started to do whatever, making noises and which to me would be like, okay, you're toning and doing whatever. And she said, and I closed my eyes and was just doing whatever, just going with whatever came. She said, and then I opened my eyes and all of a sudden it was just beautiful. She said the
Mm.
clouds, she said it wasn't dark anymore. It didn't feel ominous, like everything. And I really noticed that, like in doing things, like if something's outside looking weird or it sounds strange, first of all, I noticed that the birds will kick up. Like it's almost
Mm.
like they're toning with me, they're doing something with me. And then sometimes it's just dead silence. And then all of a sudden that one time, like and it's weird. Like I live in Buffalo. I don't really like where I am, there's not really a lot of frogs. Like, and all of a sudden I hear frogs, doing their things and birds coming and the squirrels show up and like it's crazy. So I love that you said that because it is all of the elements really come with this, with us.
Mm.
We have to,
Mm.
give that appreciation for that aspect. They're like, oh yes, they're getting in tune. Let's go.
Yeah, nature symphony, right?
Totally. Totally. Yeah. Yeah.
Amazing. Like, oh, that
What
was
I noticed, Courtney, is we had Bill Bill
Yep.
Kale on here a couple episodes ago, and he does the Tibetan singing bowls.
Mm.
And for me, it when he played it, and I'm sure he has a very sacred special bowl, but wow, just the
Mm.
resonance of it just was amazing. And I have to say, your voice had a same effect, which
Mm.
I'm going to claim if I did that, I might need to, work on it a time or two, but that was amazing how I really felt that same, whatever that word is. And I
Mm.
can just really, it's more of a feeling. It's just so
Yeah.
this. So
Mm.
that
Thank
was really
you.
cool because that was just your voice and it just held that frequency,
Mm. Hmm.
which was super cool. I just had to say that.
Thank you.
And beautiful and amazing.
I appreciate that, and it feels amazing to feel that reflection of the crystal bowls and like having that similar kind of sensation. And when I first started studying sound healing, my first instrument was a crystal bowl.
Oh,
And
wow.
like an F note, it's almost like I can match that perfectly. And working with, now I work with a Shruti, I have crystal bowls, but like working with different instruments and crystal bowls, you can learn to like match the tone, and then you have this crystalline frequency in your voice, and you're able to share that. And when you were talking about all the energy outside and stuff around when there's things going on, I have like particular tones that I feel like clear my field and like are really just like phew, here I am, and like cleanse. And with experimenting with your voice, you can find tones that are like, okay, this is like a go-to tone to like transmute and clear my field and the field. And that's just another like powerful tool to have when using the voice.
I
Yeah.
love that you just said all that. And what a perfect crystalline frequency. That was such a great word. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Well, everything you just said was very powerful and has kind of come into my awareness. That's that creatorship thing
Mm,
of we have so much ability just with our tone and frequency, not only to restore, reclaim, clear, create, attune, attract. You said it earlier, attract miracles into your life, attract magic. It really is amazing what's coming. Maybe just for me, but I think it's the energies more and more palpable and more available and more powerful in a beautiful way.
hmm.
Power, empowerment, and powerful. So,
Yeah.
so much cool.
Yeah. Hmm. I don't think you didn't say the word pleasure, but that's just what I was like feeling in my mind because I feel like as a species is like and feminine, we're reclaiming our ecstatic pleasure bodies and those capacities. And with sound, if we can allow it to be like pleasurable and enjoyable, it's like we're tapping in to and communing with the nectar of the universe. And then we can saturate and like soak in that. And often if I do vocal meditations or vocal practices, or I'm leading song circles, I always leave space for silence because there's like a pristine stillness or communion. You can feel the love of the divine um, after you do a practice with sounding.
I
I love
love
that you just
that.
word the use pristine. I spoke earlier to what I wrote, and it was kind of this tone can clear the distortions. And
Mm.
but it's like our reality, our experience is meant to be roller coaster in the best way, twists and turns in the best way, like such an exploration of life and experience. But we don't need all of those pain, suffering, fear, anxiety, restriction, all those things. And that's kind of how I ended my writing of pristine use of managing our energies and our frequencies internally and externally, managing our energetic fields and managing the relationship with all of those around us, including Gaia, the elements, the
Mm.
animals. So I love
Mhm.
that word. Yeah. And pleasure. Oh my gosh, all day long with capital letters and an infinite amount of exclamation points.
Yes. Hmm.
Absolutely. Can you talk a little bit? You said something that really resonates with me, and I was talking about this earlier today, and the importance of stillness too.
Mm.
And I loved it that you said that it led to that. You like, what can you give us a little sound bite on stillness and the importance of that? Because it really, we live in such a
Mm.
noisy, right? We're in the middle of so much noise and distraction. And I love it that you just in that little sample, I'm not kidding you, you just like I felt just like I was one with the sound that you were doing so instantly. And
Mm.
the word safe did come in and this ethereal just it was so beautiful. It was like we were being held. And then but I love it because then that is the point, right? That it's that inner like sweet spot of stillness.
Mm.
So if you could expand on that, I would love it.
Yeah, I feel like stillness and listening are just right there with sound. It's essential. And it's like the more we can be still and open, the more we can hear the melodies of the universe or the sounds that will support us in the moment. And I feel in my own journey, cultivating a lot of stillness is, to my best ability, is so essential because our minds they're freaks, they're crazy, go off in all these different ways. So developing the capacity to be witness and be witness and be witness will, help you when you sound because a story can come up that's not good or like you can't sing or whatever the heck it is. and you're just like, I witness you, I love you, I'm going to keep singing and opening. So yeah, just it's so important to have that stillness.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you. Yeah, what a beautiful
Yeah.
description too. And it is, it's, just like we forgotten how to use our true voice,
Mm.
stillness is something that we had to relearn, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And it's the nature of who we are, like that infinite consciousness that just is. And we're so, as a culture, it's like we're so good at doing, pushing that we like don't always tap into this state of being that is who we are. And there's so much nectar and beauty and creativity and essence. And I love the word essence, and being on my journey with the voice has helped me attune even greater with like my soul essence. And I feel like in stillness as well, we can also cultivate and tap into that the beautiful essence of love that we all are uniquely.
Yeah, well said.
Mhm.
Courtney, do you, because you had said, when you do your meditations and things, and I know you do the retreats and that, when you're doing your, not just the retreats, but when I'm going to refer to a class or whatever, are
Mhm.
these all things that you're doing in person? Do you ever do any online? Do you have meditations that people can purchase, or that's coming down the road, or that's not even a plan, or anything like that? Can you speak to that?
Yeah, I'm developing now more recorded stuff, recorded vocal meditations, different meditations and practices. And then sometime this year, I'm going to have more of like a creative program online that's like poetry and songwriting and the vocal arts. And for the last like 4 years, I've mostly done a lot of my work in person and have people come out here in Hawaii, and I've done some programs, but I'm excited to just have more recorded stuff so people can receive that in their own time. And then I also do um, probably like every other month, I've been doing some song circles online. So just teaching songs, and we'll do more workshops online.
Yeah,
Oh,
Yeah.
good, good. Yeah, because I feel like I
Mhm.
really
that's
need to
fun.
experience what you did there. Like I kept getting these chills down my spine. My
Yeah.
stomach was all crazy, and then it just like calmed down. It went into this beautiful, like when I say wave,
Mm.
I felt like this whole waviness like going through me. It was so good. And I'm like, she's got to be out in the
Oh.
world. The whole world needs to hear her.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
excited for that. And then I'm also working on an album, so people will be able to listen to my songs
Okay.
soon.
Well,
Mhm.
Courtney, since you brought it up, would you like to give us a little teaser so that we can hear your beautiful
Sure.
voice again and in a different way?
Yeah. I may
Awesome.
just sing this one a cappella. So
Beautiful.
this song just came through when I was on a Mary Magdalene pilgrimage in France, and we were in the cave where she would do Cathar initiations. And yeah, it literally came through in like 3 minutes, and I just have like kept it with me. And it's just there was a couple, songs from her that I felt in that journey. So
Oh, so we don't lose the sound, if you need
oh
to
yeah,
adjust the
good
zoom,
idea.
I'm like, we want to hear it. Beautiful.
There we go. I got the
Awesome.
musician sound on. I am opening in sweet surrender. In your love, I remember I am never severed from my sender. The light that is within me is my ember, and I rejoice in the choice to choose my life. And I rejoice rejoice in the choice to choose my light. And I rejoice in the choice to be moved by life. And I am opening in sweet surrender. In your love I remember I am never severed from my sender. The light that is within me is my ember, and I rejoice in the choice to choose my life. And I rejoice in the choice to choose my light. And I rejoice in the choice to be moved by life. And I surrender. I surrender.
Wow.
Wow. I got chills through that whole thing. I was like,
Wow.
beautiful.
So beautiful. Thank you. What a
Thank
treat.
you. Thank you so much. Such an honor and joy
Oh,
to share. Thank you.
goodness. Well, when your music is ready, you'll have to keep us posted so that we can make it available in our community. It's that
Yeah.
that you it hits on so many levels. I'm like your voice is absolutely beautiful, and I don't know if people realize how difficult it is to sing a cappella that beautifully and hit those gorgeous notes that you did. It and the lyrics that you were bringing through too, like that was it told a whole story and it was instantly memorable. So that's what
Yeah.
I mean, just instantly all of a sudden I was like, oh, we already know the words. This is yeah. I love this. But that's the power in the music, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the
Yeah.
power of music, is like it's supposed to be unifying. And I
Yeah.
love songs that people can learn and sing along with, because it's like we get to be in that field of unity.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I would just like to add, I love how it was just your voice and the snap that added so much for me. And
Mm,
I am a naturalist. I mean, my favorite thing is maybe a guy on acoustic guitar. But it's so pure and so simple, which makes it so potent and powerful. I just love the simplicity. It's just amazing to me. And I'm probably getting the word, but I have a house full of musicians and I'm the only one. But whatever, I don't know if it's the cadence or the tempo. It was so like, it was a wave for it was so I just love it. I love the simplicity of it. I love it. It was just you and your I just love it. I mean, I think it's so powerful, and I would love for the world to dial it back a little bit with all of the synthesis. There's just so much, and it's just anyway, the purity is so powerful for me.
thank you. Thank you.
I
So
agree.
sweet
I
to
agree.
receive.
And like you said, the snap, it just added something. You felt the different vibration coming in, but how it all gelled and melded, like it was just beautiful. Like I love the energy to it. It was like you went right back into France, and that's the energy you brought into that
Yes.
time. You could feel that coming, right? Like it was
Yeah.
crazy cool.
Yeah.
Absolutely. The Magdalene was here, is here,
Yeah.
right?
Totally. Totally.
Totally
And
feeling.
one other thing I want to share too, my one of my best friends, we've been working on a collaborative album, and she's actually just about to lead another pilgrimage in France. But we have a band that we started called Angels of the Water, and we have 2 songs released. So that's another way. It's different than my music, but it's really beautiful, intentional, angelic. Yeah, amazing. So that's Angels of the Water on Spotify or YouTube.
Oh,
Oh, wow.
beautiful.
Okay.
We will share
Yeah.
that. We'll share that for our listeners too in
Awesome.
so it's like so while Courtney's working on her solo thing, you can have a little you can get a little fix. I
Yeah.
love the title Angels in the Water.
Me
Mhm.
too.
So amazing.
And I have one more question. Any of your songs, do you do just toning, or do most of them have words, lyrics to it, or do you mix it up, or?
Most of them have words. And at least for this next album, I feel like there is going to be like an invocation, kind of like that's more tones and like less lyrics, which I feel like it's just kind of different, but it's powerful in its own to have layered vocals and gentle sounds. Yeah.
Well, and I was, because sometimes there's so much power when there's no words, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
then we don't have definitions and parameters and stuff. And
Mm-hmm.
when you were saying, just for me, because I was intentionally doing it, because we got your earlier tone, and then with words, I was not listening to the words for a snippet of it. And then I was, just so
Uh-huh.
I could have both. Because sometimes I like to tune the words out. So
Mm.
I'm just hearing sounds, not words, which
Mm-hmm.
so,
Yeah.
and both amazing and powerful.
Yeah. Yeah. Totally. I agree. Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
I'm
Mm.
Very
still
cool.
vibrating. I still.
I know you put us all in bliss, Courtney, and we're like, oh.
I
Good.
just want to stay
So
in this beautiful.
yeah,
Yeah.
well, thank you so, so
Mm-hmm.
much
Yeah.
for gosh, sharing your gift. And I mean, just you got my curiosity piqued in a whole new way about the using the voice in such a beautiful way
Mm-hmm.
and I essentially quantum healing, like this and that feeling of oneness that came from this was just so profound for me anyway. I just
Mm-hmm.
really loved it. Love your voice. Love
Mm.
I'm ready. I'll be in early order on the album. Count me in.
Me too.
Oh, thank you. Thank
Courtney,
Yeah.
you.
would you, because I noticed you said earlier that, when you start up, you do the home thing.
Mm-hmm.
If somebody wants to start to do so, like, okay, yeah, we're talking about all this stuff, but where do I start with actually toning?
Yeah.
Recommend that? What would you recommend for that?
I would recommend going on YouTube and typing in like a drone sound. There's drone sounds that are from like a harmonium or a synth or something. Like it could be helpful for people to have like a baseline continuous sound. And sometimes it's nice to explore and see what resonates with vowels. So like A, E, I, O, U, A, Om. So experimenting with particular sounds or even like hue and just going for a while, like 3 to 5 minutes, just playing in just a few sounds. And that can really open up a lot and just like develop more connection with the voice. And there's different like notes of drones, so just finding one that feels good to sing over and with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's I love that idea.
Mhm.
It's
Mm-hmm.
very clever because you can just, I feel like one would jump out at you, right? And go, oh, okay, that's like, you would be in resonate, it would resonate with you. And
Mm-hmm.
that's a great starting point. I love that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I
Mm-hmm.
love the time you mentioned goddesses in one of your retreats. I did some work before with toning and how interrelated a lot of the ancestral stuff is. And just to tap, I just feel like that is
Mm-hmm.
so profound right now, to tap into, like you say, those tones. They're so ancient and so um, wise. Is the word I want to use.
Yeah.
Like just a
Yeah.
simple like ooh, like who knew that had so much wisdom in it?
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so cool.
Yeah, and like there's so many spiritual and indigenous traditions that work with sound and mantra, and like that could also be a good place for people to start is to like study a mantra, just like understand what like Om, Hum,
Yeah.
like what the mantra means, and just really work with that for a while. I think David Pramal, she has a book and she does teachings around just like working with a mantra and like really get into studying it and doing that for a while. And I feel like mantras are also a really great way of like a lot of them are really complex. And that works with like undoctoring the mind and the body, but some of them are also really simple. So finding one that could work with, resonate with someone.
That. I love her mantras. I listen to
Me
them.
too.
So beautiful, right?
She's an angel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It takes one to spot one, Courtney.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, this hour came up too quickly on us here, but Courtney, I cannot even thank you enough. Like, wow, like so like eye-opening. Wow. Thank you for sharing your beautiful gift. You are like this magnificent, amazing soul. And like you made our morning.
Oh,
So,
thank you. Thank you. It feels like just such a big honor and joy, and you all are so beautiful and incredible, and was amazing just to weave in this co-creative field. Such a joy, and thank you. Thank you for having me.
thank you,
Thank
thank
you.
you. And we will be putting in the description how you can reach Courtney, how you can access her music that's available, and we will be letting everybody know when her album is done. It's going to be a very exciting time. So, Courtney,
Yay.
sending big, big love to you.
Thank
Thank you
you.
for being with us today.
You too.
All right, we'll see everybody next episode.